What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Breakthrough, and today we have Amy. She's a familiar face. She's going to be a reoccurring guest because she's wise, and
It's
we
Amy
all
time.
learn from her. And it is Amy time, and we're talking all about surrender and creation. So let's get in it.
So, the conversation that Jess and I would love to have with Amy today and get her expertise advice on is, I feel like myself and a lot of us struggle with surrendering and letting everything go versus creating our lives, taking action and manifesting it in the way that we want. But how do you do them both at the same time? Because for me, I either let go and surrender, or I'm like in control of my life, making all my decisions. I don't seem to get the balance.
Yeah,
How do you get the balance? And yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a really great question
thank
because yes, you ask good questions. Because it's something that is a very simple concept, but can be a little tricky in like understanding and then putting it into practice. So this is how I work with it, right? I can only speak from my own personal experience and the information that I've gathered along the way. So this is my understanding of it.
Sure.
So
that's why you're here.
So there's different ways that people will describe this concept. So you were just saying surrender, versus creation, right? It could also be allowing versus doing. So doing is action, being is being, like being present, the flow state, right? So a lot of times that's traditionally been known as the feminine energy.
Yeah.
And the doing energy is the masculine energy. And everybody, male or female or other, has masculine and feminine energy flow. So the whole point is to really find the balance between masculine and feminine energy. In a sense, if people have heard of the terms divine partnerships, sacred union, a lot of that can refer to a man and a woman and a woman, man and a man. Or, most importantly, it's in yourself. Right? It's the marriage between the being energy and the doing energy. It's figuring out how is this dance and when do I do it.
I feel like obviously you hear balance a lot, right? I always like, oh, but it's just the balance, but just the balance is impossible. I find
Getting
that's
to the balance.
How do you get the balance? It's like, of course, it's always yin and yang and a bit of both, but for me, I struggle with knowing when to do that and when to do that. So I understand that it's got to be both, right?
Okay.
But I don't know, I don't trust myself enough to know, right, today's the kind of time where I'm supposed to step back and let the universe take over and see what happens, or today's the kind of time I need to like get up, take action, make things happen, and that's what I struggle with.
So, oh my God, these are such good questions. Okay, so the really fascinating part about this, which we've talked about this in another episode that we had. Yes. This is all about why it's so important to be present in your body.
Oh yeah, back to that.
Yeah, back to that,
Damn
right?
it, it's always the answer.
Everyone hates to be present in their bodies, right? Because they're like, they just don't know what to do.
It's uncomfortable.
Right? It's uncomfortable, and we've been taught it's uncomfortable, which is a lie, right? Yeah. So the reason that you want to be present in your body is so you can tell when you're supposed to be in the doing energy versus the being energy. And if you don't have the ability to be present to yourself, you can't know what you need. You can't know what you need, right? So being present to your emotions, which one could consider to be more of the feminine flow state, because your emotions tend to be more flow, and being present to your thoughts, which can often be more of the masculine state, which is do, right? Okay, so first of all, taking a little step back before we go into surrender versus creation, what do you want to experience in your life is really the first question. Okay,
yes.
So what do you want to create? Because we are all 100% responsible for our experience all of the time. What we feel in here is what we are projecting out there. What we're thinking in here, that's what we're experiencing. So we are literally creating our experience based on what's happening here and our actions, right? Yeah. Thoughts, words, actions are what create. First, you have to know, what do you want to experience?
That's the whole
what
question.
What do you want, right? Which is confusing to a lot of people.
Know what you want to create in the first place?
Yeah, so it's like you look at your life and you take an inventory of what's happening and what is it that I truly desire to create for myself. So somebody may truly desire Like their aspiration may be to sit on their couch and watching as much television as they possibly can in this lifetime. That's cool, right? So then that's where their baseline is. Then how do they create that?
So you can only, so until you know exactly what you want to create, you can't possibly do the rest of the steps. You can't tune into your body
Not
and
consciously.
feel how to take action or flow because...
Right, it is very difficult to do it consciously if you do not have that presence.
Yeah.
You know, and there's another factor in here called grace, right? Which,
love a bit of grace.
Yeah, which is grace, which is even though you may be doing all kinds of things that are actually counter to the creation of what you said you desire to create, sometimes you get grace. I don't know if that comes from God, goddess, angels, luck, I don't know, you know, or you have the right vibration so things somehow work for you. Grace is even if you are doing dumb shit, stuff still works out for you somehow.
Got it.
What you want to do is have a vision. It's called a vision, right? This is my vision. And it could be a vision for anything. It could be my vision for my career, vision for relationship, vision for my life. And it's important if one is going to be consciously creating to have, it's like, this is the plan. This is what I want to experience. This is my story. If I could write any story for myself,
this
is it, right? So that's big for a lot of people because most of the time they've been in self-limiting beliefs, which we'll talk about, which keep them contained in this little tiny box of really crappy possibilities because they've never been taught to think big.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the messaging we get is
100%
small.
Play it safe.
Yeah.
Very
Exactly.
restricted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, vision. Once I have my vision,
Step one.
Yeah.
then you start breaking the vision into little steps in order to create your vision. If your vision doesn't exactly exist now, then you start looking around going, what needs to change? What do I need to call in? Do I need support from somebody else? How do I get that? Then you start breaking down, what do I do?
Is this if you have got your vision or if you
Yes.
haven't got your vision?
If you have your vision.
If you have your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you decide, okay, here's what I want to create for my vision. There's probably actions that are required.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I need to call 5 producers and pitch them this idea. Doing.
Right.
Now, I've reached out to all of them. I've done my follow-up.
Yeah.
And I'm a person that likes to do prayer.
Yeah.
Right? Talking to the universe, asking for what I want. So after the meetings, before the meetings, I will ask for what I want, you know.
I hear you there.
May I get a call from the best possible person to produce this for me? You know, something like that.
Yeah.
And then, if I've done all the action that I need to do, then I wait.
And here's where I have
knew
the
you
problem.
were going to say that. Charlie doesn't know when to stop calling the producers.
Yes, this is where I love you.
I knew it. I could see her brain going, but.
There's always a what if, and it's very annoying. But I hear you, and I love that clarity that you have. I would love that for myself.
It's called trust.
It's called trust and probably discipline.
Yes.
Because for
and
me,
surrender.
and all
Okay,
of it,
yeah, honey.
So,
yeah.
how do you,
This
for
is the
anyone
story of
else
my
that's an OCD or like workaholic or never knows like where to draw the line, how do you know that like that's enough? Because what if, now my what if would be, that was 5 producers, but there was another batch of 5 that had I put more time in each day, that I'd done 5 each day or whatever, that in that next batch of 5, that's where the real magic, the opportunity could lay. I'm not sure. I don't feel like the 5 is enough, so I do more and then more and then more, but it's not balanced. And I know that, but I'm scared if I don't take that action, what if that 5 wasn't enough and I'm going to miss the opportunity within something else? Okay,
so there's like 75 things that I could coach you on in what you just said. So first of all, there's a shadow side, and we've talked about shadows.
Yes, we have.
There's a shadow side to doing and being.
Yeah.
Okay? And most of the time, people get into overdoing or doing out of anxiety and fear,
Yeah.
you know, panic.
That'll be me.
And then then in the being side, people get into apathy, fear, freeze, right?
When they don't do anything.
They don't do anything, right? So it's fight, you know, if you think about it's fight, flight, or freeze, right? Are the different responses to fear. So the people that are like flighting or fighting, they're in the doing. And the freezers
like
are frozen
stunted.
in like,
Yeah.
and people make up excuses and say,
Yes.
oh, I'm just in flow right now. I'm surrendering to the universe. And they sit on their couch and no one ever calls them, right? And then they go watch The Secret again and they're pissed off that it didn't work for them. And then they start being freaked out about their negative thoughts and like, oh my God, I've got to fix my thoughts and something's wrong with me. And then they start doing all of it.
from the wrong place.
From the wrong place.
Yeah.
All of it is to keep people from being present in their bodies, right? So it's a defense mechanism not to be present, right? Because we have this fear of being alive or something. I don't know what's wrong with us. To be present and be alive in this moment is horrible, so I must distract and numb myself. I don't know what happened to humans. Like we lost our minds, right? Like literally have lost our minds. So what you're talking about is doing out of anxiety, right?
Yes.
So that would be also to check in with your body, check in with yourself, get quiet.
Yep.
You know, because the truth is, most of the time we know the answer.
Yes.
We want to ignore the answer.
Yeah.
We know. And we do everything we can to ignore what our bodies and our minds are telling us, right? And it's important to distinguish between the ego mind, which is, you know, trying to jack you up.
Yeah.
And then the higher mind, right?
Yeah.
Which is the adult supervisor who's just going,
Saying,
guys,
hey, like,
you know,
calm down.
everybody
like,
just
everything's
chill.
good.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
take a break. You've done enough.
Yeah.
Just trust.
Yeah. So that's when, you know, and that's why it's important to make time every day. And I don't always do this. Please.
It's a nice idea.
It's a nice idea. But if
right.
you can,
Theory.
even if it's just a few minutes, right? Or when, you know, if you start to get clarity on when it is that you're about to like go off the deep end, and that's when you know, if you can catch yourself right there, and that's work in and of itself, getting yourself when you go, I'm just about to go over
Like
the top.
repeating a pattern.
A pattern,
Freaking
like-
So
out.
you've done enough. Let's just say you've done your 20 emails or whatever. You've done like quite enough for one day. And then tuning in to feel that sense of like, okay, I've done a nice amount. Now it's time to go do something else for myself.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? And I guess it's just trial and error, because I really, if I started that tomorrow, I wouldn't know. I know you say we know, like we know deep down. I don't know how to listen to that voice. I'm learning. Yet, yeah. I'm getting a bit better, but there's a lot of us, I feel like, don't know how to listen to that inner voice and trust it. So I think you just have to start somewhere and just like see what happens.
You just have to start. And the thing is when I
Yeah.
say you know, is once you start actually paying attention, you'll
Yeah.
see that you did know.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Right?
you get burnt out. That's the difference. Like there's times when I'm working when I'm like, I've done enough. Now I'm just doing hate-fueled work for the sake of doing work,
Oh my
and
God,
I
love
don't
that
want to do that.
hate-fueled work.
It's true, and I'm like, now I
That's
know.
Yeah, then you get
really shitty
this
work.
is not going to be productive. I'm turning off for the day. But I feel like you don't have that threshold.
You don't have an off button.
No, I don't.
And I'm not trying to insult you. I'm saying I don't think you have that. And so because of that, you don't know where to stop because you don't have to. There's no reason to stop.
Exactly.
Whereas
That's a good
like I
point.
reach a point.
Where you physically, your body kind
Yeah.
of like tells you, hey, like
Totally.
stop, and then you listen, right?
Totally. I
Yes,
mean, obviously
you are
I have
right.
discipline. If I need to get something done,
Yeah.
I will. But in terms of just working towards something, if I feel like I'm not even enjoying this anymore, like I don't even want to be doing it, there's like, you know, you've put in the work and you've reached that level of, I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
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 But you're an Energizer bunny,
So
so maybe that's why.
but that's probably why I'm not well. I'm exhausted. I've got like 50 syndromes.
You just have to start one step at a time. Trusting.
Yep. That it's all going to work out.
And that trusting is a form of, you know, you said surrender, right? Trust is often a form of surrender. It's letting go. It's just, you know, saying, I'm choosing. I'm choosing. Right?
Yeah.
This is talking to your mind. I'm choosing to trust that everything's going to be fine.
I struggle with that part because I can turn off and stop working, but then the trust part, that's what I struggle with, where I start thinking, I'm like, yeah, but if I did one more thing today, what if that's the thing that got me where I want to be?
Yes.
If I took an extra step up Mount Everest, what if that was what was going to catapult me? What if I missed the boat and now I'm working towards nothing?
So that's like
that's fear.
That's some dumb bullshit fear thinking, right? That's
agreed.
That's gonna fuck you up from reaching your goal because there's something in you.
But what if she's right? What if Jess has got a point, and that within that maybe she like quit an hour early because she was like, you know what, I've done enough today. I feel like going with the flow.
What is meant to be yours will be. You know, being able to connect with yourself to figure out when am I in action, when am I in flow, and what do I need to do for myself right now to take care of myself in the midst of all of this, and what do I want my experience to be? Do I want my experience to be anxiety and fear that this isn't going to work out? Or do I want my experience to be trust that everything is always happening for my highest good and the highest good of all others? And sometimes what is meant for my highest good would not be something that I would have judged necessarily as being for my highest good. Right? So maybe I call all those producers and nobody contacts me. And I go get on the habit trail like you and I'm...
Keep going.
And then I call 10 more. I have 10 more meetings. Nothing happens. And I'm really pissed. And I decide to go to Hawaii on vacation. And then all of a sudden, this producer walks up to me in Hawaii and says, you know what? Not only are you going to stay here in Hawaii, but we're going to give you this. I'm making up a lot of stuff right now. But
your own show.
But usually when you look back on some of the worst experiences of your life, there are often things that come from it that were powerful learning experiences that served you.
When you weren't in a desperate state or a
and that later you found that if I hadn't had this particular experience that I judge as the worst experience of my life, then in this experience I would not be able to do or be who I am right now.
It put you where you needed to be.
Even though, and that's the thing, is we judge things as good or bad, and they just are.
It's like back to the original
everything
point is we have a choice in all of this, right? And if we are present to our bodies, we have a choice whether to step back and surrender or walk into action.
We create our experience.
And we can only do that by continuing to just take action steps in trusting ourselves. Right, well there we go. That's that soul thing.
Every single thing is a choice, right? It's either a conscious choice or an unconscious choice.
Oh, it's so difficult in that moment though. I'm going to put this to the test.
That's the practice.
This is the practice. Is taking all of this good stuff.
Unconscious choice that you make right there.
Right.
But you have to take that beat.
And the important thing I want to add to all of this, because a lot of times people forget this part. And
tell him.
This is the most important step of this practice is being gentle with yourself, right? You are not always going to do it the way that you feel would have been the highest way of handling it. Sometimes we scream and throw drinks at people, you know, and that doesn't mean that is, you know, what we have to continue to do. So have compassion with yourself, and even if you didn't handle it the way that you would have chosen to another time, just be like, wow, what can I learn from this?
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of The Breakthrough. We hope there was some good, juicy stuff in there and that you learned a lot to take away with you to apply to your lives.
And we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
We love you.